It's odd to me that just a few weeks ago, heck, a few days ago, most Democrats were still looking into television cameras and saying that this person is up to another 4 years. I mean, he's obviously running on fumes. They weren't cheap fakes, no matter what the government told you. In fact, I still think it's a legitimate scandal how they ever arrived at the decision to run again in the first place. I still think his family and his top staff have a lot of explaining to do. Most of this seemed like a stump speech to me. It seemed like he gave the speech that he always wanted the campaign to be about, which was he wants credit for this record that he thinks is historic and was not getting out of the campaign. I'm still shocked, by the way, at how easy it is to overthrow the president. I mean, I think we all think of this office as being impenetrable. He got 81 million votes in 2020, and then he got 14 million more. But at the end of the day, he was no match for a handful of party bosses who run the Democratic Party. So, look, I'm happy to give him all the grace that he deserves because he's on his way out. But at the end of the day,
yeah, it really sounds like that.
A bunch of people looked into TV cameras over the last days, weeks, and months and told you a lot of things that were not true about this president. I hope he is okay for the next few months, but it was obvious it was time, not tonight, but a while ago.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have to react to the CNN panel that got triggered by Scott Jennings, who is a conservative analyst for CNN, destroying Joe Biden and his surrender speech to the Democrat Party, okay? Because the Democrats staged a coup against Biden. They have installed Kamala Harris to take over for Biden as the presumptive Democrat Party nominee, okay? And Scott Jennings, as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, told the truth, right? Told the panel the truth about Joe Biden and this surrender speech, as these people are actively trying to rewrite history, okay? They are deleting articles, okay? Telling people that the sky is not blue, okay? Kamala was never, the borders are, okay? Things didn't happen the way they claim. She was never the most liberal senator when she was in Congress. This is what the Democrats are actively doing in order to save Kamala Harris, okay? Because they know that she is illegitimate. Nobody voted for her, okay? But yet they're trying to paint Joe Biden as some type of hero who stepped down to save democracy. And they don't like the fact that Scott Jennings told them the truth, okay, about this narrative that they're trying to push, which is that it is complete and total BS, okay? Biden did not step down to save democracy. Biden stepped down as a result of a coup from the Democrat Party elites. And let's just say CNN did not like that too much. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, he did have a lot of grace. And I just want to say, Scott, you're my friend, man. And I love you, and I know you're a good person. You got to take a step back here and show the grace that you said you wanted to show. President wasn't toppled by party bosses. He was toppled by the reality of his situation. It was the American people who made a judgment. It was helped along by your party for 5 years, but they made a judgment, and he recognized the judgment they made, and he decided that the stakes in this fight are such that he could better advance the cause that he believed in by stepping aside. That was a big thing to do and a hard thing to do. And I'm going to give you some political advice, though you're very, very good at this. I would step back and give him that grace tonight. I think the American people would want you to do that. I certainly feel like he's earned it.
Wow. Yo, this guy is heated. He is heated, brother. He is heated, okay? He does not like the fact that Scott Jennings is essentially pouring cold water on their little celebration of Joe Biden surrendering to the Democrat Party coup, right? He's begging Scott Jennings, please, man, have some grace. Stop beating up on Biden, bro. We all know he got overthrown by the Democrat Party elites, but you don't have to say it out loud, man. You don't have to tell the truth, okay? Can you please not tell the truth, okay? Biden, he's already dead. Stop, right? Stop is essentially what this is what he's actually saying, okay? In English, okay? If you cut through all the bull, okay, if you cut through all the double speak, This guy is begging Scott Jennings to stop trashing Biden, stop calling out the gaslighting that is happening from this administration, from the mainstream liberal media, that is constant, right? And Scott Jennings is telling these guys to their faces that, yeah, you guys lied, right? A lot of people looked into the camera and lied to the American people about the condition of Joe Biden, right? And this is a conversation that, quite honestly, has not been hashed out at all in the mainstream liberal media, which is that the party that claims that they're supposed to be pro-democracy just staged a coup against the sitting president of the United States for the Democrat Party nomination because he was losing, okay? They're not talking about that. They don't want to talk about that. David Axelrod's response, his reaction to Scott Jennings, saying that out loud, him basically begging Scott Jennings not to say that. Please don't say that about Biden right now. Please, okay? Please. Let us rewrite history in peace. Tells you just how afraid Democrats are of that line of attack, right? They are scared to death of the conversation that needs to be had about the fact that Democrats overthrew the sitting president of the United States with rich elite donors plus Obama. So you had plutocrats and oligarchs forcing the United States president to not run for office, even though he feels like he's doing a good job, okay? Biden feels like he can run again. He can do another 4 years, but they forced him to step down. I'm not entirely sure how you can be the party of democracy when your party does not have any democracy. That is a very awkward conversation to have when you're trying to tell people that democracy is on the line in this election, and none of the people that you're trying to get to vote for your candidate actually voted for her to be the candidate. This is why Republicans need to talk about this every single day to never let people forget. Kamala Harris is not a legitimate candidate. Nobody voted for her. Literally, nobody voted for her. That line of attack, the sheer overt hypocrisy, is not something that can be denied by the Democrats at this point because they've been gaslighting us since day one, right? The fact that all of this happened is a result of the gaslighting that Democrats did for 4 years straight, right? And then they're trying to continue it by saying, oh, well, it wasn't really a coup, right? It wasn't really a coup. Joe Biden stepped down because he felt like a new generation of Democrat leaders are now ready to take the reins. Well, if that's the case, why didn't you drop out before the Democrat primary, right? Why didn't you drop out then if you felt that way? Because he did not drop out willingly. He was forced out, okay? He was forced out. But again, Democrats don't want you to talk about it, right? They don't want you to bring this up. This is why I say Kamala's new nickname has to be Kumala, right? Every time you talk about Kamala Harris, you have to be reminded she is illegitimate. Her candidacy is a result of a coup. Nobody voted for her, okay? There is no democracy in the Democrat Party. They actually hate democracy. They are anti-democracy, okay? Again, they don't like that, right? That triggers them a lot.
I think what's interesting about Biden is that he is tired. He has changed.
Yeah,
He's changed even in the past couple of months. But he was more coherent, low energy, but more coherent.
All right, we're skipping this. We're skipping this.
Just shut the fuck up. At a certain point, just shut the fuck up.
We live in this polarized political moment where things are often a Rorschach test, because I'm looking at Twitter seeing how I'm not where most of the Republican Party is. I'll fully admit that, but where most...
Yeah, I mean, you're a liberal, right? And I wish you would just start saying that you're liberal, that you hate Trump, you're liberal, there's nothing conservative about you. I mean, she's basically like Anna Navarro, okay? She's into the far left stuff. Like, these people, man, stop claiming conservative. Go ahead and switch your party, okay? Please do. Be more honest.
Republicans are how they're receiving this. And what they're saying is basically it's an incredibly divisive speech. And to me, I'd say, what about promoting democracy, passing the baton to the next generation of leadership, the nation being bigger than any one man in your ambitions is divisive? That may be more of a reflection of the leader that the Republican Party has chosen to follow. I don't think George Bush, your boss, would have found that to be a deeply divisive speech.
How do you think?
I love you too, David, and I really do, and I respect you, and I hear what you're saying. I think what you're asking Republicans to do is to overlook a lot of dishonesty that came right out of this White House, that came right out of the vice president, people who work for him, his family, other Democrats in Congress. You're asking the country to overlook a lot of dishonesty about Joe Biden's abilities, capabilities, his capacity to serve for another 4 years, and so on.
Are you talking about Biden or Trump?
I'm talking about.
I'm talking literally, Democrats make the same argument.
I'm talking
Trump.
about Joe Biden. He arrived at this. He did arrive at this decision with a little push, not just from the goodness of his own heart, but you have to admit, a little bit of a push from the party
He concluded
bosses.
that this was the party bosses were reflecting, the consensus of the American people.
Wow. Again, this is what I'm talking about, just more gaslighting. This guy is really arguing. Joe Biden stepped down, not because the party bosses told him to step down, but because the party bosses telling him to step down reflects the consensus of the American people. So if that's the case, then Joe Biden should not have endorsed Kamala Harris. Joe Biden should have said, well, we need to have an open primary, and he should have declared his candidacy to see if the American people actually really wanted him to continue to be the candidate. That's what he should have said. He should have said, listen, okay, let's have another primary. Let's have an open convention, which is what he was advocating for, right? Joe Biden was like, yo, challenge me at the convention if you want to do that. This is what he was saying initially, okay? This is what he was saying. So how did he go from open convention to I need to step down and endorse Kamala, which guarantees that there's probably not going to be an open convention, if he thought that it reflected the consensus of the American people? If he was really thinking about democracy, which is what David Axelrod is trying to say here, if he was thinking about democratically, why did he do it in the most undemocratic way possible? Right? It doesn't really make sense. Because at first he was calling for just a little bit of democracy, right? Oh, open convention. Okay, the delegates can choose. Okay, maybe that's not the most democratic way, but it's more democratic than what's happening right now. So again, these people, they just believe that you're dumb. And they don't like when you call them out on their gaslighting and the fact that they are talking to you like you're dumb. Okay? They insult your intelligence and then they get upset when you're insulted, right? When you tell them, listen, I don't like you lying to my face. Okay? This is crazy, man.
Who made a judgment, but Scott, there's so many Republicans who I talk to who are overlooking far more than this. And they'll tell you that. About Donald Trump. That is really the story of the Republican Party right now. I said to you last week, the fact that the man you work for and who you revere and who you love was booed at the Republican convention last week after devoting his entire life to the Republican Party reflects how totally this party is in the thrall of a guy who is morally and ethically challenged and who left the presidency. You talk about deposing a president. That's exactly what he tried to do, overturn a free and fair election. So, and a lot of Republicans.
It's so funny. They keep saying, well, Trump tried to depose the president. Well, how did Trump try to depose a president when Biden wasn't president, right? Biden wasn't president at the time, okay? Trump challenged an election that he thought wasn't fair. He did it in court, and for him, unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere, right? Really, unfortunately for the country. To be quite honest with you, consider the state that we're in. But I'm just saying, it didn't go anywhere. He did exactly what Democrats do every time they lose. They challenge the election. When Trump does it, oh, well, it's a coup, right? It's a tackle democracy. When Democrats do it, though, it's election integrity, right? So, again, Democrats here, they're trying to create some false equivalence, right? And they're grasping for straws. They want to try to say that January 6th is worse than what the Democrats did in their own party, which is to stage a coup. However, regardless of whether or not you think January 6th is the same or not, you are supposed to be taking the position of the party of democracy, right? You're supposed to be better than the people that you claim that you're against, right? So you cannot get the benefit and the praise of being better than them while doing the things that you claim that you are against. It doesn't make sense. The Democrats want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say, listen, Republicans are a threat to democracy, but you can't criticize us when we don't adhere to democracy, okay? Although we're also a threat, you can't criticize us for it. You only can criticize them for it, right? And we can freely do that. But that's not how it works. You have to be held to the standard that you set for yourself. Democrats don't want to hold themselves to that standard because they believe that anything they do is justified because Orange Man evil, Orange Man Hitler, Orange Man the worst thing in the world. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case. They have dug themselves in a hole because of their Trump derangement, which is what led to this, okay? If Trump was Mitt Romney, they would not have done this. They would have said, well, it's okay if Mitt Romney wins because he ain't all that much different than Joe Biden, right? He ain't all that much different than what we want, so it doesn't really matter. But because it's Trump, they're now trying to justify doing things that they claim that they're against. And now you have Democrats in a position where their voters have to literally vote for something that the Democrat Party claims they're against. It doesn't really make sense, okay? How can you say that, hey, vote for us to save democracy when democracy wasn't even a part of the process for your party choosing the nominee? Democrats out here talking about vote for us to save voting rights when they wiped away millions of votes within their own party. Millions of primary votes overturned like that, right? Overturned. Because the oligarchs, the plutocrats said, yeah, we want to cancel those results, right? We want to do over here. We're losing, right? So we need to switch out our guy because our guy is getting his ass whooped, okay? And they know this. They know this. This is why they're so afraid. This is why they're so triggered. This is why this man is begging for mercy. Please stop telling the truth. Please don't do it.
Republicans know that. They've said it, and yet they're setting that aside. So I don't think you're not on a strong footing here in making this argument.
Well, but my argument is simply that when you're trying to make a judgment between two parties here, I fully and freely admit that both parties have warts. But we're acting like there's no warts on this situation. This is weird. He won the primary without a serious challenge. He told us all he could serve. His party told us he could serve. And he's clearly diminished. And I think he ultimately arrived in the right spot. As you know, on the night of the debate, I said this candidacy has fallen. He ultimately got here. But it was pretty torturous how they got here, and I think a lot of people burned a lot of credibility on the road to getting here.
Well,
you
I
should.
think
Go ahead.
It's tough to speak in binaries, but that's where we are at this point in this race. And some of us were there when Donald Trump was being told by advisors consistently, you lost, you need to concede. There's no way that Vice President Pence could change the results of this outcome. And he still refused to, and he still allowed the events of January 6th to unfold. So I think if you're even comparing the two, it's so far apart. Not to suggest Democrats were incredibly untransparent about that. I think that there was a lot of gaslighting, a lot of misleading the public about his shape, but it's such a world apart, those two.
By the way,
Again, she can't for one segment put aside her Trump derangement and actually, I don't know, be a conservative, right? And just criticize Democrats. They can't. She can't do it. She's a Democrat Party operative every single time. But again, what Democrats don't understand is that you can cry about January 6th all you want, but that does not excuse what you did. You can't claim to take the high road, regardless of what happened on January 6th, regardless of what you think about January 6th. You can't say that you're better than the people that you're fighting against when you're doing the things that you claim that you're against. It doesn't make sense. I respect these people a lot more if they stop trying to take the high road and just tell the truth. Just tell it like it is. You don't care about democracy, right? You're anti-democratic. All you care about is power and control. If you just told the truth, I would respect it, right? My biggest problem with Democrats right now is not what they did to Joe Biden, right? Because they did what they had to do to win. Hey, it's a power move. Low key, in some aspects, I respect it. But what I don't respect is the lying, okay? I don't respect trying to take the high road and pretend like you're better than everybody else and that you believe in some higher, better ideals for this country when you don't, right? You don't at all. In fact, you embody everything that you say you're against. You're the party of everything that you say you're against. So again, my issue here is just the lying about it, right? That's my biggest issue. If they were more honest, I would say, well, you know, hey, at least they're not lying about it, and people can make their own decision about whether or not they want to support it. But when you come out here and you, along with the media as well too, try to tell people that you're a bad person for bringing up the fact that Democrats staged a coup in their own party, forced out Joe Biden, like basically deposed of an old man, threw away Joe Biden like a used condom, bruh. That's what they did to this man. You're trying to call me out as a bad person, trying to pretend like I'm in the wrong for pointing out something that you did and the hypocrisy of it. Again, that's what really bothers me about this, okay? And again, if you take away anything from this video, these people are scared to death of this line of attack against them. They are afraid, okay? And evidence of that is how triggered they're getting by people continuously bringing up the fact that there was a coup staged in the party that is supposed to be saving democracy. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.